There has been a continued shortage of skilled trades workers in the US for many years. Through a combination of educational changes and social pressure, skilled trades took a backseat to the notion that a college degree is a key component to future success. But with the emphasis of a 4 year degree, there were reductions in shop classes, high school career experience programs, and we saw a decline in skilled trade program enrollments. And it's clear looking back, with less awareness, social acceptance, and encouragement around the skilled trades, unsurprisingly, less individuals chose this career pathway. But there is good news. With the current shortage, our educational and social systems have begun to change their tune. There has been a renewed appreciation and understanding of the importance of career and technical education. In episode 4 of Titan Talks, we are going to explore the skilled trade shortage, but we're going to do so with a little bit of a different lens: the impact that women can and are having on trade industry shortages. Hello, listeners. Today, I am joined by Brianna Riddle, Area Rental Manager for our Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and Sioux City, Iowa locations, and the talented Kim Boren, Service Manager at our Grundy Center, Iowa location. Well, I'm excited to spend time with you both today, and we get to discuss a topic that I think we can all relate to for all of us on the call, is being a woman in the trades. But first, because we do have Brianna and Kim, you guys are both kind of new to the podcast. I'd love to hear a little bit more maybe on how you kind of got into your current position. So however you want to share how you got into your current role, or maybe kind of what led to where you are now, I'd love to hear that. So maybe we'll start with you, Brianna.
I've been at Titan for 10 years now, and I started as the inside rental sales position. And when I had applied, I originally applied for the store administrator position, and the store manager at the time had emailed me and said, "Hey, would you be interested in a rental position?" And I was nervous because I had no equipment background whatsoever. And so he gave me a chance, and here I am. I got promoted to the area rental manager about 5 years ago, and I've been in the same position, and it's definitely a fun, unique experience because I work with a kid's playground basically and get to play with all the equipment, and I've learned a lot, and it's for women, it's something you can always learn.
Great. All right. How about you, Kim? How did you get to where you are right now?
Well, I've been in my position as service manager for 5 years. And let me tell you, we're from small town Grundy Center. You guys are probably not familiar with it, but I knew that Misty had done this position for several years, I think 10. And then I had known kind of the gal that did it before me. So it was like, 2 women in it before me. And then I thought, well, I saw it, I knew it was available. And so I just kind of talked about it with Misty, and she's like, yep, you could do it, So that's how I got here. And it's been a very good experience. I've learned a lot. I don't come from an ag background at all, except my grandparents farming. But I've learned a lot, and it's been a fun ride.
Well, that's interesting. All 3 of us on the call. I didn't come from equipment at all. In my interview, I remember they were like, they put a piece of equipment on the table and they're like, "Do you know what this is?" And I said, "That is a piece of machinery, and it is red and it is large." So I think it's kind of interesting actually that all of us had really not necessarily much connection to like equipment or knowledge of equipment. And yet are successful in our positions. And I think it's really good for anyone to hear that you don't have to have background in that knowledge. It's more about like the skills that you bring. So even Brianna, you kind of mentioned, I applied for one and they said, "Wait a minute, I think your skills could be better over here," or, could be more or optimized over here. And I think we see that in a lot of different positions, and especially as women are kind of looking at these industries where there aren't a lot of women in these positions. And Kim, I think your example is really unique in that, and it'll kind of highlight actually one of my questions is it's a lot easier to say yes to something when you see someone like you in it. And your story actually mirrors that perfectly. For listeners too, Misty, that she kind of talked about, Misty is our general manager over in Pella and Grundy Center, Iowa, and is certainly a powerhouse over in that market too. So all of us are kind of nodding at each other. So maybe to start, I had done a little bit of research. Obviously, we all have kind of our own stories and experiences, but actually looking at some of the Labor Department data, 58.4% of the workforce is women, right? So we're about half of the workforce, more than half. But for example, and specifically for you, Brianna, only 14.1% of women make up the construction industry, and that's actually the highest on record. So we make up over 50% of the workforce. So where are the women in our industry and in skilled trades, but in particular our industry? So I'd love to maybe kind of hear from you, Brianna or Kim here. Maybe we'll start with Kim. Where do you think some of the women are? Why are they not coming maybe into our industry?
I think too, it's the just not being familiar with it and no confidence in being able to do it, because there are so many men in it. I think it's kind of just isn't real widely known that there's women in here.
I agree with her. I think women kind of get intimidated.
Right. That's the word I was looking for.
So you guys obviously overcame that intimidation. And I think, we've been in meetings together where maybe we're one of very few women in the room. So how, I could talk about kind of how I feel about kind of that maybe moment of intimidation or that imposter feeling, but how do you overcome that? How did you accept where you're at now, knowing that there might be some intimidation?
For me, it took, just over time, you just get more comfortable with it and more confident. And it takes the people around you to accept you and to respect you.
Once again, I agree with Kim. I think that the more confident you get, then the more respect you get, because they know that you're here and you're here for a reason. They hired you for a reason. And when you know your equipment and, have knowledge, it helps you become successful and people to have confidence in knowing that you can do your job.
Well, it's interesting you guys kind of say that. I sometimes feel like I almost overcompensate with the amount of knowledge that I have or the research or me making sure I'm really prepared, because I want people to know I know what I'm talking about. And, again, maybe being one of the only women in a meeting, I want that to come across, that I take it seriously. I know what I'm talking about. And you guys kind of mentioned that too. It comes with learning and time and earning that ability to say, like, I know what I'm saying and what I'm saying is right or is the best kind of option to pursue. So sometimes it's that extra amount of like earning of credibility that I think can, it's a little bit of a hurdle there, but once you have it, I think it means a lot and it opens the door for more people to come through. When you can kind of pave the way, and obviously you both have kind of paved the way in your locations. Maybe one kind of quick side question. So, Kim, how many women are in your dealership? Do you have more than, obviously you've got Misty and you have yourself. I'm just curious how many other women you have in your team.
Just one other. We've got our store admin.
Perfect. And what about you, Brianna?
I'm lucky, and in my two stores, I have two females at each store. So I've got my store administrator in Sioux City and Sioux Falls. And then in Sioux City, I've got a Rockstar Parts lady that has an ag background, came into construction, and she knows a lot about the industry and what people need for their parts, which is awesome. And then I've got a Rockstar also business manager who is not afraid to get out there with the guys, unload equipment, and she is just great.
Well, I think having that village, or again, having people around you that maybe can kind of empathize or have been in some of your situations is really helpful too. Because sometimes there is that little bit of difference. in that equipment industry. Um, in looking at some of the other research, if you look at some of the skilled trades courses, and those have really had kind of a resurgence of getting more and more students experience around the skilled trades. And actually, there's a growing equality of interest between men and women. So, what was interesting about the article is it talks about how a lot of the home improvement shows have made women more interested in, for example, construction trades. And of course, that makes sense. I kind of had like the aha moment. And so I was interested in maybe knowing more about any ideas that you guys had, and if you agree with that concept of, oh, look, they're doing it. Look how they're doing it. It's really cool. Therefore, I want to pursue that. Do you see that out in your dealerships or your communities as you're out there?
I really think that any woman thinks that they can do it, because when I'm at like college fairs, like Sarah, I know that you do a lot of college fairs too, and young gals are coming up to the desk for us, and we're like, you can do it. You're able to do it. We had, student techs. There was a girl in Sioux Falls that went through the student tech, and she was a diesel tech, and she was a great diesel tech. And girls can do anything that the boys can do. And that's what I was trying to stress when we're at those college fairs, because I feel like some of the girls think, oh, that's machinery, not what I could do. Well, we have plenty of other opportunities in Titan that they could do if they don't want to be a diesel tech. My position, store admin, parts, service writer, service manager like Kim, anything. And we just got to promote that. And I think we do a good job of that at all the college fairs.
We did have a girl, a high school girl, I think she's a senior, that came to shadow our techs for a couple of hours one day. So kind of interested in becoming a diesel mechanic, which I'm going to be honest, in our area is really not very common.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's actually probably very common.
Yeah.
There is a large shortage of women in the mechanic field. Titan, we're launching the diesel camps this summer. So for 9th and 10th graders, trying to get more opportunity for individuals to kind of try it. Research shows that the more opportunity for kind of trying or having kind of a safe, and I don't mean that in like a safety way, but kind of a safe environment to try, ask questions, be encouraged to do something is really beneficial for especially young women, and to be around other maybe young women in that. And so trying to create those opportunities to encourage them to see it, try it, and be told you're doing great. If you don't have that experience of having someone say like, you're doing just as good as this individual, male or female, I think it can be kind of hard to then see yourself in that position. So do you have any other examples of maybe who you saw that made you realize you can do it? I know, Kim, you talked about Misty. Do you have other examples, or anyone on, in your teams that you've heard say like, I saw you do it, so I could do it? Maybe someone has said that about you.
In the female interns that we have, I think they kind of get intimidated, because it is male dominated. And then they go through it and they're like, we can do this too. And it's awesome to hear them know that, yes, we can do this just like any man can do it. And you have so many different female customers that will come in that, whether they're helping their husbands on the farm or working the cattle themselves, they're doing it all just as much as the men are, And
do you feel like there's any unique experiences or strengths that women would bring to this industry?
I feel communication is a little better, and organization. In my position, I can't speak for Brianna. She probably has kind of a different, but I'm not helping the farmer fix his tractor on the phone, but I'm calling him and communicating what time will be there, what to expect when the tech gets there, and how long it will take, and canceling if we can't make it. Just the more reaching out to them than what I think a guy in my position would do. And organization as far as getting the build out, and the ticket paid for.
I agree with Kim with all that communication, organization, and multitasking. We can do it all, and not that the men can't do it. They do wonderful jobs at it too, but I feel like sometimes we are a little stronger at some of those things and can get it done.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think sometimes it's nice to be able to say, like, here are maybe true or not, right? Gender trends that we hear about, right? We're better communicators, or we're really good at multitasking. We're good at organizing. We're strong at not only with that multitasking, but ensuring like customer success. We're very, we're empathetic, right? So I can maybe relate to a customer better. And true or not, those are strengths, though, that if you can say, these are these are my strengths, and here's how they relate to a role, I think it helps kind of elevate an individual, maybe a woman, say, I can do this and I can do it better, because if we can own some of those things that make us unique, and there's a variety of other individual things that make us unique, but really own some of the things that maybe historically have kind of been like, oh, they're just going to be, they're too empathetic. Well, no, in a customer situation, what a great benefit. And so being able to kind of spin that, I think, is helpful. In terms of that awareness, and you guys kind of mentioned it, seeing someone else, do you guys have any feedback or thoughts on how our industry, or even Titan Machinery, could help raise better awareness and be more visible to young women or women of any age to kind of enter our industry?
I think being involved in the community things and the college things, like we're doing the college fairs. Sioux Falls has women in construction, and I know that Danny, the business manager, is involved with that. And, just getting involved with things that women are centered around, and they can learn that we have construction opportunities. It's not always in the field. There's different opportunities in our industry.
Wonderful.
I would agree with Brianna. Yeah.
Perfect. That's why we have you guys. You guys have all the right answers right away.
Yeah.
And in also reading too, women's overall employment has reached 99.9%. So actually post-pandemic, more women are entering the workforce. So I think that also gives us another opportunity to really look at that skilled trade shortage or finding great talent. We know there's kind of finding talent right now can be a challenge. And so again, widening that net and widening the talent pools will help in terms of helping us identify the best person for the roles that we need, and who can really serve our customers best. And I think one of the best ways for us to do that is to really look at a population that is currently maybe lacking or missing from our industry, which are the women. And how do we engage them? How do we get them interested in this? So I really appreciate you guys taking time, giving us some of your feedback from the field. You guys are kind of living and breathing it and doing really well in everything that you guys are doing. And for two different kind of divisions of our company, both ag and construction. So I appreciate you taking time out of your busy day. I'm sure you have many things now that have piled up while we've been on the call here. But definitely appreciate you guys taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Titan Talk. Stay tuned for more episodes.